Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 700 Club. I'm Andrew Knox in for Gordon Robertson today. During an exclusive interview with CBN News, Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis talks about his personal faith.
Florida's governor also shares why he believes evangelical voters should choose him as the party's nominee in 2024. CBN's chief political analyst David Brody spoke to DeSantis at the governor's residence in Tallahassee.
Hello, Governor. How you doing? Hey, welcome to Tallahassee. Thank you.
Conservatives see Ron DeSantis as a no-nonsense crusader fighting the liberal agenda as Florida governor.
I don't think there's any elected official in the country who's not only stood up for the values that we all share, but has actually beat the left back on these things.
And in our interview, we explored new territory, a more personal look at the man who wants to be the next president.
Who are you at your core? What is your DNA all about?
So, I'm a working class kid. I mean, my mom's from Youngstown, Ohio. My dad's from Western Pennsylvania. I think that they were very, very clear about what I needed to be doing for my obligations. You know, do well in school, you know, make sure you're in church every Sunday, make sure you're working around the house. You're not going to get anything handed to you.
A philosophy reinforced at a strict Catholic grade school he attended.
Did you like it? Did you, oh my gosh, I couldn't stand it? Or what was the experience like?
Well, I think by and large I liked it, but again, I think the things that I didn't like about it were because they were doing the right thing by making sure that we were disciplined and making sure that we were, you would pray every day. Some of the nuns were very strict about what your obligations were. And again, as a young kid, maybe not the most fun at the time, but I think was the right approach.
That discipline and hard work led to success as a baseball player in Little League, high school, and at Yale. Other shining accomplishments followed: Harvard Law, a Navy lawyer, serving in Iraq, becoming a U.S. congressman, and now governor.
I always believed that it doesn't matter where you start. You know, if you put that nose to the grindstone and work hard, God has a plan for you and you can do well in this country.
DeSantis credits his Catholic faith for keeping him grounded in truth. While he doesn't publicly tout his faith, he and his wife Casey attend church regularly and make it a family priority.
Our household is a Christ-centered household, and we're raising our kids, with those values. We think that that's very important. It's great for us when our kids are coming back from preschool or kindergarten talking about David and Goliath and talking about some of these, and we're like, thank you. So we're very, very appreciative of being able to do that. My son, he was 4 for Christmas this year. He wanted a sling to be like David slaying Goliath. And so that really, I think, warms our hearts when we see that.
Like King David, DeSantis had to lean on his faith and prayer during his wife's 2021 breast cancer diagnosis. After undergoing treatment, she's now cancer-free.
There was a definite increase in her spirits once we went public and people started praying for us. And yes, absolutely.
The governor has faced tragedy as well. In 2015, his sister Christina died suddenly at just 30 years old.
She had a pulmonary embolism, so it's difficult just because you're just thinking like, why would that have to happen? And not that like you want any illness, but it's like sometimes like people are going through it. This was something 5 days before it happened was not even on our radar.
Times like that can challenge anyone. For DeSantis, there's a scripture verse he keeps central to his life.
I would point out, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. I mean, that's ultimately what the faith centers around. Yes, there's a lot of traditions, and I think a lot of those are nice, but at the end of the day, it's kind of, where is your heart with respect to God, and what is that relationship?
DeSantis hopes to build a strong relationship with voters, especially evangelicals in the early primary states of Iowa and South Carolina. Wins there could help put him on the path to the GOP nomination. He has plenty of policy wins on his resume, including a pro-life Florida heartbeat law. He's quick to point out how that distinguishes him from the former president, President Trump.
While I appreciate what the former president has done in a variety of realms, he opposes that bill. He said it was, quote, harsh to protect an unborn child when there's a detectable heartbeat. I think that's humane to do.
Do you feel the former president's going soft then on abortion a little bit, especially in this area that you mentioned?
Well, I think so. I mean, I was really surprised because he's a Florida resident. And I thought he would compliment the fact, that we were able to do the heartbeat bill, which pro-lifers have wanted for a long time. He never complimented, never said anything about it. Then he was asked about it, and he said it was, quote, harsh.
But DeSantis' message to evangelicals on how to turn this country around is much bigger than one issue.
It's got to be a spiritual, and I think it's got to be a strong faith that is really going to get us through very turbulent times.
So we need more God in society today.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's certain problems, economic problems, there's problems at the border, there's all very important, but, why are we here? Why are we free people? We're free because God has endowed us with inalienable rights. That's why America was founded. Our Constitution was created not to give us rights, but to protect the rights that God has already bestowed upon us.
While DeSantis wants to spread that message today, looking back in history, he told us of another message that would have been great to witness.
Could I have been there with Jesus' disciples? I mean, these are people who, Peter's just fishing one day, and all of a sudden, this guy comes up to him, catches all the fish and says, you're going to be fisher. I want you to be a fisher of men. Come with me. And so these guys all went out and they dedicated their life to spreading the gospel. I look back at that and would love to have been able to be there with them.
Instead, he'll be spreading a 2024 campaign message of conservatism cloaked in faith.
Thank you.
David Brody, CBN News, at the Florida governor's residence in Tallahassee.